Okay, this is second part of collocation, movement and speed, starting and finishing. First looking at starting. Some collocations relating to starting. Promising start for James Drowell. You may see this as a headline in a newspaper perhaps. James Drowell, England's best hope for this year's Intercontinental Tennis Tournament, made a promising start this weekend when he won against fellow Englishman Tom Driver. Promising start meaning a good start because it's the beginning, probably had a lot of success. We also use it maybe you start a course, made a promising start. When you first start driving, perhaps you make a promising start, you start well. Absolute beginners make the best learners. Research has shown that absolute beginners have the best chance of learning a new language compared to those who start with some knowledge of the language. Absolute beginner means someone with no knowledge at all of the subject. So maybe if you learn to play tennis or you learn to dance, you learn to drive, they say you are an absolute beginner because you have no previous knowledge. Early start for the holidays. I think it's quite clear. Many tourists have decided to make an early start to the bank holiday weekend. Traffic is expected to be heavy on the motorways on Friday evening. Because it's a bank holiday, people know there's going to be a lot of traffic on the motorways, for example, so people are leaving early. They are making an early start to get to their destination. Bank holiday is a public holiday, what's the festa. In England, they are always on a Monday, always, always. So, for example, May Day, 1st of May, in England isn't the 1st of May, it's the first Monday in May. Equally, the August bank holiday is the last Monday in August, which means in England you are always guaranteed holidays at certain points of the year, whereas in Italy you have festa, but if they fall on a weekend, haha, ciao, you don't get them. Jazz Festival gets off to a good start. The annual Jazz Festival has got off to a good start with many fans flocking to the city centre to see their favourite groups. Get off to a good start is very similar to a promising start, meaning that the festival has started well, lots of people are interested. Flocking means many people come together. A flock we use with birds. A flock of birds is un lo stormo di uccelli. Okay, so the idea is many people coming together like a flock of birds, un stormo di uccelli. Finishing. Close finish in the French rally. There was a close finish today as the French driver narrowly beat his fellow countryman across the finishing line by 0.3 seconds. Close finish means that two people were competing right until the end, and one person won, in this case, by 0.3 seconds. New economic law. Ministers in the European Parliament are putting the finishing touches to the new laws regarding import and export of goods within the EU. Finishing touches are the final details. When someone says they are putting the finishing touches to something, probably generally it means that the project, for example, is 95% complete. They are adding the final details, the final finishing touches. In this case, we're using it with the law. You could use it when you're writing an essay. You're adding the finishing touches, you're just correcting it, adding the final details. A project, when you're getting dressed to go out, the finishing touches, you fix your hair, you fix your jewellery, etc. Treaty brings armed conflict to an end. To bring to an end means to finish, to close. The 3-year armed conflict in southern Mali has been brought to an end with all parties signing a peace treaty. So this conflict between two armies, perhaps, in the south of Mali, has been brought to an end, meaning it has been finished because everyone involved has signed a treaty, an agreement, un accordo. Davis just wins. After a nail-biting final, Davis just managed to win the last match in the tournament. Probably in this case, we're watching tennis perhaps. Nail-biting final, when you are nervous, when you're agitated about something, some people, they bite their nails, nails är unga. So when I say it's a nail-biting final, meaning it's very exciting, very tense, people are very agitated, and in some cases, perhaps nail-biting. They are biting their nails because of the situation. Other collocations relating to starting and finishing. The invention of television marked the beginning of the end of popular radio shows. Before the onset of television in the 1950s, radio was very popular. When television started to become more popular, and radio, in particular radio shows, became less popular. So the start of television, the invention of television, marked the beginning of the end, the start of the finish, when television shows took over, became more popular than radio shows. After studying hard all week, the end result was I got an A in the exam. End result meaning al fine, the final mark, because this guy, he studied hard all week, and eventually, as a result, for good work, he got an A in his exam, the end result. The perfect end to the holiday was watching the sunset over the sea. I think this is quite obvious, it's quite clear. Very good holiday. To finish it off in the perfect way, there was a beautiful sunset over the sea. Okay, let's make a start. Let's get started. That way we can finish early. We use this phrase, let's get started, let's make a start, at the beginning perhaps of a meeting to call to attention everyone involved. Also, I may use it when I start a lesson. Okay, let's get started. Drawing your attention to the fact we need to start working, we need to get ahead. As my time at school came to an end, I knew I had to make up my mind about the future. Come to an end meaning to approach the end of a period of something. In this case, this person is at school and she is approaching the end of her school time or is coming to an end. The meeting drew to a close after a difficult discussion about staff redundancies. Draw to a close meaning to approach, but in this case to approach the end of something. Staff redundancies are cassa integrazione. His career came to an abrupt end after being fired for the company for fraud. Abrupt end, sudden end. This action took place very suddenly without any warning. Fired, licenziato, from the company. Fraud, probably because he was stealing from the company, perhaps. Okay, that finishes the second part of collocation, movement and speed, starting and finishing.